Today we're going to be doing a 4Health dog food review, and also we're going to be talking about feeding, nutrition, and the methods of feeding a dog, what the nutrition requirements is for certain types of dogs. So let's get into it. Today we have 4Health Endurance 90 formula. The 90 means basically that 90% of the protein in this bag comes from animal sources. This is a new trend on the market where you're getting more protein from animal sources as opposed to vegetable sources. Because vegetable sources can be misleading because they can say that they have a certain amount of protein, but it's actual vegetable protein, which is different than actual animal protein. So in this bag right here, the ingredients are chicken, pork, chicken meal, ground brown rice, ground white rice, chicken fat, dried beet pulp, natural flavor, salmon oil, and flaxseed, and dicalcium, I guess that's a calcium phosphate, and potassium chloride, which is salt. So once you get up to the point of a dog food that says salt, dog food is only required to is only allowed to carry 1% salt. So once you get up to the word salt or chloride or anything that's a form of salt, basically everything after that is less than 1%, which is totally irrelevant to what's in the dog food. I brought this dog food because they were out of the Diamond 8320, and they were also out of the Victor high protein performance or whatever. So I got this one because it was 90%. The only downside I see really on this food is that chicken is the first ingredient. I really don't prefer chicken because I feed raw chicken, so I really don't need a dog food to have chicken in it. So without that, let's get into it. It has 426 calories or cals per cup, which is really high, very high. 400 and something calories per cup. Most dog food is around anywhere from 290 to 3 something. The fact that this has 400 something means that it has a lot of calories. It's a really dense food. And also it has 33% protein. And most dogs' food that carry 33%, the numbers are a little on the low side. So it's more like 35, 36% protein. And I believe that an actual piece of chicken is about 30% protein. So this is almost comparable to a meat substance. The only downside I see for this is chicken. I really wasn't expecting that. But if you have dogs that are allergic to beef or pork, but it actually has pork in it, so that's a good thing too. So let's get into feeding instructions. There's 3 types of methods to feeding. The most preferred way of feeding your dog is to follow the instructions on the bag. Stop that. Come here. No. Come here. No. Follow the instructions on the bag. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to weigh your dog, follow the instructions on the guidelines, and give your dog that. So on here it says the dog that's 80 pounds, and it also has for months, 9 to 12 months, and it has adult dogs. I recommend that if you have puppies, you follow the instructions on here for feeding. If you overfeed a dog, it can cause serious issues such as hip dysplasia. I think it's called calving, where their feet knuckle over, and it's just too much calcium that is normally correctable. But overfeeding a dog can cause serious health issues. So I recommend following these instructions. But over here at Car Kennels, we have a lot of dogs. So it's almost impossible to do that. So what I'll do is periodically I'll weigh my dogs. Weighing your dogs is important because it gives you an idea of how much the dog is growing and how much the dog weighs. So this dog right here is a Cane Corso, Scandifo bloodline. You know, really high praised dog, really high quality genetics. So she is 5 months old right now. And this is a Reedman scale. Reedman, I need some sponsorship, man. You want me to, advertise your scale? Reedman, I'm gonna be hollering at y'all for some sponsorship. Gotta get that money. But I recommend you have this. So last time I weighed her, she was 66 pounds. So right now, put her on this scale. Stop. And as you can see, she is 67 pounds. So she's gained a pound since the last time I put her on this scale, which is to be expected. This is a large breed dog, so you don't want to overfeed him too much. Come here, girl. Now, the way how you can tell about overfeeding a dog is basically by how much fat is on the dog. When you go to the ribs, you can kind of gauge the fat on the ribs. And when I gauge her ribs, I literally can barely feel her ribs. So that lets me know she's on the, she's on the chunky side. She's kind of overweight. Another way you can see is her chest. You go to the chest and you try to see if you can feel bone. You see any excess fat here, especially like right here. The muscles, I can still feel muscle and bone. So that's a good sign. But if you go here and all you feel is fat and you don't really feel any bone or you don't really see any muscle definition, you're feeding too much and need to cut back. So what I do for her is, sometimes I just cut her back on her food. Some days she gets one meal, and I really have to try to watch her free feeding. So I can't really do that because I have so many dogs, but basically I just make sure that, I'm able to see or feel bone here. Once this gets too fatty, and it's bulging, dog's overweight. And then I'll have to seriously put her on a diet. So what you would do with her is you take her weight, for instance, she's 67 pounds. So we go over here to this chart. And the chart says from 4 to 8 months, if she's 60 to 67 pounds, so let's call it 70, we'll bring it in here, around here. So each day, she's supposed to get 7 cups of food a day. And believe me, she'd eat 7 cups of food if you gave them to her. But I would give her I wouldn't give her 7 cups, that's too much food. But I'd give her a good 5 to 6 cups of food a day. But according to this chart, she can eat, let's go up to the smaller number. Let's go to 60. It says 6.5 cups a day. So if I say 5 cups, and she probably will eat about 6 cups a day because she'll get bones. And that's another thing. We have these dog biscuits. Those are like treats, something you can give the dog because the dog's going to be hungry in the morning. You can give the dog those bones, and then later on you can give the dog his food. So next we're going to go to bullies. Next we're going to go to free feeding, which is what we practice here. The upscale to free feeding is, we don't actually do free feeding, we do a free feeding community feeding. But free feeding means basically you have dog food out at all times. For a dog like her, you don't want to do that because she'll put on too much weight. She'll be 100 pounds, and that'll put extra stress on her joints, extra stress on her hips, which causes hip dysplasia when her hips outgrow the sockets that they go inside of. For these type of dogs that are going to be very large, you do not want to overfeed them. I repeat, bigger dogs you do not feed bigger dogs extra. You feed them less. Smaller dogs, you feed them more. So let's take this boy right here for instance. This is Tyrion. Got Tyrion. He was 15 pounds. I mean, this is Debo. Sorry, so many dogs. Debo. When I got Debo, he was 15 pounds, 6 months old, or 5 months old. One of the two. Right now, I believe he is 7 months. And 7 months. And today we're going to weigh Debo. See how much he weighs. Let's see. Last time I put Debo on a scale was the other day, and he was almost about 40 pounds. Let's see what Debo's coming in at. So it has a whole button on it that can take the average of a dog that's moving around too much. That's not right. We know that's not right. Stop it, Debo. Calm down. So he's 40 pounds, give or take. He won't stand still. So when I got Debo, he was 15 pounds. Within the first month, 30 days, he was up to 28 pounds. The next 30 days, he is now 40 pounds. So he's put on 15 pounds and 10 pounds, which is a lot of weight to put on in a small amount of time. We do what I call, back to the feeding, we do what's called, let's go back to free feeding. So with free feeding, you just put food out and you allow your dog to eat all day long. The two things wrong with free feeding, the downsides to free feeding is basically your dog can become overweight because it's going to eat too much food. Also, you can attract rodents and insects because you always have food around. So that's a big thing. You're going to attract rodents. That's the downside to free feeding. But the upside to free feeding, and another downside to free feeding is a dog can become bored with his dog food and he just doesn't want it because it's always around. And another downside, and the upside to free feeding is some dogs, like as you can see right now, they're always playing around, they're always excited. So when you put the food out and they have only a small time to eat, they may not necessarily eat the food at that time because they're too busy playing or doing other things. So if they're allowed to have food all day long, that gives them enough chances to figure out when they're hungry and eat their food. And last but not least, we have what's called community eating. And here's our community eating dog right here. Basically, community eating is basically you put one big bowl of food out, or you put multiple bowls of food out, and the dog participating in eating. That's the method we pretty much use here. We use all the methods except for free feeding. We don't do free feeding because there's too many rodents. We in Baltimore, it'll be too many rodents. But community feeding is the most common method we use here, and then we also do isolated feeding, which I think is different than community eating, but it's almost the same. So basically with community eating, we put one bowl of food out, and because one dog is eating, the other dogs want to participate in eating. This dog right here will not really eat unless she's in a community setting and eating with other dogs. She doesn't really want to eat by herself. I guess since she was a puppy, she ate with other dogs, so as an adult, she will not eat unless it's community feeding. So with that being said, you have to monitor her weight because she may not be getting enough food because someone else is eating all the food up during the community feeding. So what we do is we weigh her. Normally Snow is anywhere from 78 to 86 pounds because, like I said, she's a picky eater and she only likes eating with other dogs. I'm gonna guess right now she's probably 80 pounds because she looks big, but she temporary. She goes from 78 to 86. Come on. Right now, stop it, Snow. Stop. Get on the scale. Right now, Snow is 80 pounds. I don't know if you saw that. She wants to sit around and come on. She's 80 pounds. So basically, she was down in weight because I was feeding her a low quality dog food that was corn based. And once I switched over to a 90% protein food, I switched her over to Victor. And there's another 4Health dog food, the 83 high endurance, something. It's an orange bag, that's all I can tell you. She's gained 3 pounds. And but she doesn't really eat that much. And the downsides of community eating, the number one downside of community eating is attacks. We have a dog in here, a Pressure Canary, and if you put food out, she'll just sit in front of each bowl and nobody's getting anything to eat. If they try to, she's gonna bite their heads off. So community eating can be very dangerous because certain dogs will just not eat with other dogs. Certain dogs will not eat with other dogs. That's a downside to community eating. Another downside to community eating is a big Bertha over here, Ken Corso, will sit there and eat every morsel of food out of the bowl. And what'll happen is you won't know if you don't know if anyone else is eating. You have no clue. And like I said, I don't have the time or the setup to be able to give each individual their foods. But what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to have to start separating her and allowing those guys to eat, so that way I'll know exactly if they're eating or not, or how much they're eating. So that's the downside to community eating. The upside to community eating is they share, they take turns in eating, and some dogs, like Debo here, who's all hyped up, he'll participate in eating because other people are eating, because it's just an activity that they're doing. And also, a person like Snow will not eat unless other people are eating. So it becomes like a competition. So she wants to get involved and eat and eat and eat and eat because, she sees other people eating. But once again, you want to use a high quality dog food, because a low quality dog food is not 90% protein from animal. It's to be 90% protein from corn, or 90% protein from some other vegetable source, soy. Dogs don't eat soy, dogs don't eat corn. So if you feed them corn-based dog food, or if you feed them soy-based dog food, you're gonna have a lot of hair falling out. You're gonna have a lot of issues. They may be irritable, gas, rashes. It's the list goes on and on and on. And then actually an early death is also in the mix. So as you can see, with this high quality dog food, you get happy, thick animals. So the best thing I can tell you is do not free feed large animals like this when they're puppies, or ever for that matter. The community eating is okay for her because I put out one bowl that contains about 6 cups of food, 5 to 6 cups of food, somewhere like that. If she eats 3 or 4 cups, that's 1 or 2 cups for these guys. If I do that again twice a day, she'll end up getting about 5 to 6 cups of food, and now end up getting about 2 or 3 cups of food apiece. They don't really need that much food. There you go.